Okay, we are live for Swimming with the Pontoon number 33. Hopefully, hopefully the Wi-Fi holds out and the audio is good. I know that seems to be something that I have tackled multiple times, but I did test it before I went live. But that doesn't mean that's no guarantee that it's actually going to work. So if you guys have any issues, if it's stuttering, excuse me, or if the audio is not good, just let me know and we'll try to figure it out. Hey, what's up, Stuart? I'm wearing obviously one of the shirts that you have created. I hope I know you've been busy. Hey, Dave at Desert Tactical, man. Good to see you here. Good to see you here. I hope everybody is having a good weekend. It's Sunday, which means tomorrow is back to work. I mean, for some of us, it's just always 7 days a week. There is no days off. But hey, if you're ever gonna get ahead, 7 days a week is the way to do it. Just got off work. Awesome, awesome, Dave. I've been meaning to catch your video on the combat armory frame. It came up in my feed. I just haven't had a chance to watch it. I will here soon. As always, I know your content is true, and you give an honest opinion, so that's good. The combat armory frame. The only real issue that I had, there's two issues. There's two possible issues with the combat armory frame. Number one, the frame rails, while they are nice and tight to the frame, which is good, they're a little bit rough. Is that a huge downfall? Not exactly. The other thing is the locking blocks on those. They're not the best locking block in the world, but then again, locking blocks are relatively cheap. And there's a little bit of play in the locking block. The pinholes are super tight, which is a good thing. I do like I'm not going to go there. But the locking block has a little bit of play in it. Even a factory locking block, a factory Glock locking block does have a little play in there. Overall, that's not going to change a lot. Things are still going to lock up. It's still going to work, but it does add a little bit of extra play in the whole build. So, it's probably one of those ones that if you're building a high precision gun, combat armory may not be the one for you. Just the tactical pontoon aspect of things. Do I like them? Would I buy more? Do I have them? Yes. I got no problem with them. But if I was going to build something, super precise, it'd probably be my top choice would be a Nomad frame. That would be my top choice. And then, of course, a factory frame and otherwise. But that's just me. Is everybody staying cool? I hope so. It's a hot year. It is just extremely hot out there. So if you're working outside or you're working in a warm environment, stay hydrated. I know I finally upped for a fridge in the Tactical Pontoon shop so that I had good cold water available. This year was definitely the year to do it. It's been warm. It has been extremely warm. Oddly, you out in the desert to have humidity, oddly humid. That's kind of crazy. Here in Louisiana, it is literally like swimming when you're out in the heat. It is just the humidity is way up there. Alabama sucking this year. Well, I think it's everywhere. To be completely honest, everywhere I've heard, it's just been bad. I'm actually very thankful that I'm not in the shop. My corporate job, I want to call it that. I oversaw a production shop, a manufacturing shop, and my shop, my desk was out on the floor, and we had heat treat ovens, welding, painting going on with the heat lamps and that sort of thing. And I was out on the floor and it was warm. I'm very glad to not be out there on that. Don't get me wrong. The little trigger cave is Not the coolest place in the world, but there is an air conditioner and with a fan, it's not too bad. I refuse to hope for winter. Yeah, I'm having grown up in the Midwest where we had actual winters. I'm not. I don't miss those. So, this heat does suck, but I'm not. I'm not praying for snow. Not in any way, shape, or form. I did plenty of snow and ice and that sort of thing growing up. So, having been in Louisiana for the last 11 years, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not having snow and ice. Just snow. Desert Tactical having shrimp ceviche for dinner. If y'all don't know what it is, you're missing out. Yeah. I grew up on land animals, so that was one of the things moving down into Louisiana. I'm not a seafood person, and everybody here eats crawfish, so it's not my thing. The packaging is wrong. It's just not, they got too many legs and their mouths aren't right. It's just not for me. So for the first few years, I made the mistake of just saying I didn't like it. Well, that meant that I had to have, their grandma's recipe or their family recipe. So what I did is I had to say that I was allergic. That was the only way I could get out of it. And I tried a lot of different things. It just wasn't for me. Seafood, shrimp, crawfish, just wasn't for me. Yeah. So yeah, Stuart, those swamp coolers, they don't do a whole bunch. They might take a little edge off of it, but it's not enough to even really count for much. Yeah. Some people are about it. For me, it just doesn't do anything for me. Not swamp, but crawfish. Um, I can do crab ragoon. That's about as seafoody as occasionally I'll have a tuna fish sandwich, but yeah, the crawfish, especially, that's a lot of work for a very little payoff when it comes to crawfish. I know here recently when we were out on the swamp for a little swamp tour with my family, was down here, and even the guide was like, yeah, there's probably like 300 tons of crawfish and about a pound worth of meat. And I thought that was pretty accurate. So anyways, here we are. What has been going on in Tactical Pontoon? What did you guys think of the thumbnail with the troll? That is an expanded version of the sticker that's coming. I was hoping the stickers would be here, but they'll probably be here within the next couple days. I was hoping to give a couple away today, but we'll just save that for next week. And call you guys the Tactical Pontoon. We'll be the Tactical Pontoon Troll Squad. If we're going to be called out as trolls, some of us, we might as well adopt it. It's a lot of fun. So the stickers will be here this week. The next live stream I do, I'll give some away, and I'll probably give some away on Instagram and that sort of thing, because we're going to have some fun with it. The Tactical Pontoon Trolls. And it's really funny to be called out as a troll when I have always found that the indoctrinated from the other clan, if you will, are the ones that really seem to get upset when my name is brought up. And a lot of times people that have tried, especially in the past before I had the drop-ins and it was more of the high-end competition series, and showed them the light that there's better than another option. Oh, we're talking food here in the chat. We got some rib eyes. Oh, yeah. And I've been back on a diet to try to get myself right from this previous year of just not doing well. Normally I do kind of like the keto thing where it's just meats and some vegetables. Well, I decided to do kind of the dude bro bodybuilder diet of brown rice and chicken. Last year I went really crazy and just did chicken and vegetables, chicken breasts and vegetables, and I pretty much became just disgusted with chicken breast. But throwing in the brown rice and chicken breast, it's not too bad. Enough, not a whole bunch of seasoning, but a little bit of seasoning and Tabasco sauce. I was conned into buying a gallon of Tabasco sauce. My girlfriend really liked the bottle that it was in. So I have a gallon of Tabasco sauce and I'm using that with the chicken breast to, kind of give it not only a little bit of taste, but also give it some moisture. And the nice thing about Tabasco sauce is it doesn't have a lot of salt. So you get the taste, not a lot of salt. And I'll throw some spices in the brown rice. That's been doing pretty well. I'm actually not tired of it. And I've been eating that for a solid 3 weeks. Except for on the weekends. On the weekends, 1 or 2 days, I might do something a little bit different. We did pizza this week. Actually, I did pizza last week. But I'm trying to stick to that. So maybe only cheating 1 day a week instead of 2. So a Tactical Pontoon t-shirt, Desert Tactical Dave. You got to get with Nordic Nevadan. He is the man with the plan on the shirts. I know he's been busy, and once he gets a little bit more time, and I break away with a little bit of time, I'm going to actually order a set of them for the website, like have them in stock so that I can have them on the website so that a person can order directly from me, say order a trigger and get the t-shirt at the same time. Just a thought, something I'm planning on doing. But good deal. Made it busy week, but I'm here. Good to have you here. Keto diet and cardio. No, you are correct. I back in, this was 2014. In 2013, 2014, 2012, I decided to start losing weight because I was close to 300 pounds. I was a big dude. I was a big, short dude. I started, I didn't read a very good book, but it was about cutting out fat. And I tried that, but just because my diet was so bad, I started losing weight. And then I had a friend recommend keto, and I did. I lost probably a good 70 pounds on that with cardio and keto. So I'm all about the keto. I believe in it. I just was so tired of just doing keto that I thought, well, what I will do is I will cut calories and just do a kind of a balance of some slow reacting carbs along with some really terrible chicken breast. So that's kind of what I'm doing. Sometimes you got to change things up or you will just get burned out. So that's just me. Glockness Monster shirt. I love that shirt as well. My girlfriend did steal I bought the wrong size originally from Stuart Nordic Nevadan. I bought the wrong size. I bought one a little bit too low. She stole it as a night shirt, so she wears that. And then I bought one that's, and I wear that all around. A lot of people love that shirt. I get a lot of compliments with the Glockness Monster shirt. 130. Wow, that is tiny. That is tiny. At my smallest, I've been like 185. 185 is probably ideal for me. Maybe a little bit smaller. Maybe 160 would probably, as short as I am, 160 is probably the healthiest. If I was right around 190, I'd be happy. I think I'm probably at 210 right now. Not too bad. I can live. I don't like 210. I don't like 215. If I could 190, 200, that would probably be all right. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do. I did really well end of last year, and then just the start of this year, pushing so hard with Tactical Pontoon had the incident with the neighbor, and I just kind of fell off the wagon, if you will. So I got so sick of myself that it was time to do it again. I just changed up the diet though. My arm. That is it's just a wrap. Mild tennis elbow in this arm. I've had like whichever it is, golf or tennis elbow in this arm for a couple years, just because I don't take the time to let it heal. I work out probably too much with what happened was I was using for about 2 years straight. The workout that I was doing was with a weighted ball, and I did a lot of exercises with that. I would throw it, pop my finger out of place with it, and instead of letting it like I started feeling some pain in my elbows and in my arms, and instead of letting it heal, I just kept on doing it, and then it got really bad in this side. It's close to being healed finally after about 2 years, and this side started acting up. So I really just need to let it heal. Probably won't. It's just I'm hard-headed like that. Cut soda and fast food. Now I'm 200 with C cup. I'm kind of B right now. B with the fat, A without. You know, if I were to take the fat away, I'd probably be an A cup. I'll tell you, one of the things that when I went full time with Tactical Pontoon, when I had my corporate job running around as a supervisor, yes, I had a desk, but I spent a lot of time on my feet running around the facility, and I noticed like a couple months afterwards when I started full time with Tactical Pontoon, I'm like, why am I gaining weight? Well, I wasn't spending as much time on my feet running around babysitting. So something I've had to kind of adjust for. Okay. Over the road truck. Yes. See, you are correct. That would be very difficult for me. I like to snack. And just being in the seat of that truck so many hours a day, so many days a week, that would be difficult. I could see that being a struggle. I would have a lot of problems with maintaining any sort of health as an over-the-road trucker. Dave asks, myth or fact? So triggers get lighter or crisper with use. I wouldn't say lighter. They might get smoother. The break might get a little bit smoother just because what's happening is metal on metal. You're basically polishing or burnishing the metal. So those two surfaces, the trigger bar, between the trigger bar, the connector, and the striker lug, what's happening is you're wearing away material, and you're basically polishing or burnishing the metal, and it's wearing into one another. It's not so much it's actually not going to be crisper. It may actually drag a little bit more, depending on a lot of different things, but it might get a little bit lighter and it'll be a little bit smoother. That's where you get a lot of myths. And the same goes with the 25-cent trigger job, which for the most part, you got guys that are just taking some basic off-the-shelf polish and just shining up the trigger bar. It really doesn't make a difference. Very, very, very little, because what a lot of people do is they will polish up a trigger bar so that it's shiny. And so just like the wheel on their car, when they shine that thing up and it looks shiny, it's polished. But the reality is, if anything, if they do feel any improvement whatsoever, it's normally because they've put a fresh coat of lubricant, whether it's Hoppies, Hopes, or whatever it is, gun oil, or whatever gun lubricant that they choose to use, unless they put it in dry, which does happen. Most of the benefit that people feel is just because it's up here. You get the butt dyno, brain dyno, if you will, That's a car term, where when you've done something, you feel that it's improved, and then it's the fresh coat of oil. Normally, that's what people feel. That's why the 25-cent trigger job, people swear by it, but the reality is really just making a shiny trigger bar. Okay. Meal prep is that's how I'm sticking with the chicken and brown rice. That's also the beauty of it, because I can meal prep for the entire week and just a little bit at a time. That's how I can kind of stay on track. Dave says his combat armory frame is breaking at 4.75. Cool with that, but my sweet spot is 4 to 4.5. Well, at that point, my recommendation for that 4 and 4.5, instead of using, I would tackle that one of two ways. I would either replace the connector with a factory dot connector, or if you really want to keep, I know you really like the break of those connectors that you use, the combat armory connectors, you can switch to a 5-pound striker spring. That should bring it down to that 4 to 4.5 and keep everything running true and reliable. One of those two ways should be able to knock it down. And then, of course, what you could also do is tune your cruciform so that you've got, on the lower end of the, factory spec, the lowest is like 66%. So if you tuned it to be about 75%, you're going to notice a difference, because it's not going to drag. It normally shows up as dropping the weight of your trigger a few ounces. Try it out give it a shot. I'm trying to think. I don't know that I've played too much with that Ghost on the combat armory frame, but it's got a big enough trigger guard. I used to run into trouble with, and not used to, but it's still a thing. You don't want to use that Ghost connector, the edge, with a Nomad frame. The full-size frames, they actually enlarge into trigger guard. One of the things that I told them was, you need to make that trigger guard a little bit bigger, because some of your longer trigger shoes will actually bump up inside of that trigger guard. I ran into that a lot originally when those Nomads first came out. So the 19 size Nomad frame is the same size. He said it was going to be too much of an operation to enlarge it, change the mold for that one, but they did address that with the full size Glock 17s. So I still need to get a hold of one of those. They did the 19X size. I may have to order one of those on the next go around when I get with them. CA slide. Combat Armory's got a slide? I didn't realize they had a slide. I haven't been to their website in a little bit. I didn't realize they had a slide. Hard to say who actually makes it. I'll take a look. It's probably the same people that do like KM Tacticals and whatnot. Filed the top of my cruciform a little so that I still have 100% engagement, but short of the break. That could work. It's not something I've seen it done. I've seen some people actually round the edge of the cruciform a little bit to kind of, some people like more of a rounded rolling break, and I've seen some people take an edge to it and roll it just a hair, so it's even more of a rolling break. It can be done. It can be done. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of information out there, and to an extent, I can agree with not removing a lot of material off of trigger parts, but you also, just because people will remove material and then not check safety. They'll just go through and remove material and do play with things and then not check safety. But if you're careful, it can be done. Another one, and this is something I want to actually do, kind of an experiment to show you guys, because I had somebody recently, and it's been brought up in the past. They're like, well, you don't want to remove any material from the trigger bar or polish it up too much because you're looking at removing the corrosion resistance of the trigger bar. So my plan is to take two different trigger bars, one that I've gone through and done a Heisenberg system with, and just a factory one. They're going to be set outside. It's going to go through some humidity, some Louisiana humidity, and it's going to be a long-term deal, probably about 3 or 4 months, and then we're going to take a look at them. That's my plan to do that here soon, just because it's another one of those things that there's a lot of information out there that's not quite accurate. And I get where some of that information comes from. I get why people would say some of that, but the accuracy of it is relatively limited. The nice thing about a Glock system is, while there are metal to metal parts, there's also a lot of plastic in there, which, for the most part, unless you're leaving it in a field for 10 years, if it's something that you EDC, maybe once a year you're gonna shoot that thing, or you're going, not maybe less depending on where you live, but you're gonna take it to the range and at least go through the ammunition at least once a year, and every 6 months, 3 months, take that thing apart, take a look at it, especially if you EDC it. Check, you sweat, it's gonna happen. But as for some of that information, well, when it comes to how bad some of this is, it's time to just throw a video out there with some actual information. Oh, go ahead, Dave. You're more than welcome. We're kind of hanging out. This is a good place to ask questions. This is a good place to get real live. Maybe you're asking something that somebody in the chat didn't ask or didn't think to ask. So this is good. No, I like that idea, because with removing some material for the right person, I'm all for it. What happens, and I've seen this, especially with removing pre-travel, where people, I had a guy that tried to replicate a Leonidas with a Glock performance trigger, and I asked him, well, did you check all the safeties? And he didn't know what I was talking about, which I'm like, you got to be careful. Know what you're doing. Check your safeties. The thing about the Glock performance trigger, which is kind of similar to the Timney, except for, there's a lot of variations, but I don't offer a Leonidas system for the Glock performance trigger just because of the way that the drop safeties work. I cannot, without doing a lot of extra work that I don't really have time for, it's already pushing it with the Leonidas. You cannot take up as much travel and keep everything safe. And there's not enough room where I would normally add a drop safety extension, ledge extension, on that trigger housing. So it almost becomes, it's just not something I'm going to do. So I'm careful about the type of modifications that I fully endorse and try to tell people about, because it's easy to get yourself in trouble. And I go through on certain modifications on certain trigger systems where I ruin trigger parts, whether it's trigger shoes, whether it's trigger bars, connectors. I try to, I have a system down, but stuff happens. I have a graveyard of parts, and especially, some of these trigger bars, when you're looking at, especially like Glock 43s, the Glock 43 stuff, CR 920s, those trigger bars are not cheap in any way, shape, or form. And the type of modifications that I have to do to those is somewhat extensive. And I don't exactly have a jig for those modifications. I do them one by one. I do them by hand. I have certain marks that I have to modify too. But a simple slip, or a little here and there, and it's done. It's gone. I've scrapped those parts. It's not fun. Yes, safety checks are Rudy, and that's the thing. They're not the basic safety checks really are not that hard. You just got to know them, and some of these people they just don't know them. Is there a preferred trigger system for the SC19? Will B Jr. says, it depends on what you're going to use it for. If you want something simple as a drop-in, if you select any of the Generation 3 stuff, it will work in the SCT19. If you want more of a competition style trigger, the Heisenbergs are excellent. My own personal SCT frames that I have one with a Leonidas system. Excellent. It works excellent in the SCT19. And I have a drop down for the SCT frames in the Leonidas because there are differences. And then, like I said, I've got a Heisenberg, one of the Blue Sky Heisenberg competitions in my other SCT19. It really depends on what you want, but for the most part, a Generation 3 trigger is going to work in the SCT. EDC. Hey, Steven, what's up, man? Good to have you here. Will, an EDC trigger, I would look at, if you want just a good basic EDC drop-in trigger, that would be the Peacemaker 4.0. That's a good EDC trigger. If you want something a little bit nicer, a shorter reset, a crisper break, I have my Heisenberg daily system. So those are the two that I would recommend for that application. Loaded weapon. Yes. Well, that's the thing. There are people that EDC a trigger that they have never safety checked because they don't know how. It's something I would want to know how to do. And then, of course, there are some really crazy people that EDC a SIG 320. Pointed down there. Now I'm semi joking. The 320, all of its issues, I don't think fully are its problem. I think the biggest issue. Oh, good deal, William B. If you have any questions, you hit me up anytime, and you can shoot an email from the website or Instagram or Facebook. I'll answer any other questions you might have or hear. So, yeah, the 320, I don't think it's fully its fault. I think really the thing that I would tell them if I had any control whatsoever would be to follow along the agency path where their trigger actually has a safety tab. It's got a little safety tab just like a Glock. I think that's a good idea for a striker fired pistol. That would be what I would do. Desert Tactical Dave likes the equalizer a lot better than the Heisenberg competition. Hey, that equalizer with the Boogeyman trigger shoe, there's a reason why people like those. I cannot wait until the Boogeyman triggers come back. Hopefully soon. I actually need to get a hold of them, check out, see what the prognosis is, because I would love to be able to add those back in. I am a huge fan of the Gunco trigger shoes. They've won my heart over. But I also know that that shoe, the Boogeyman shoe with the window cuts, people love them. I understand. They look really, really good. So hopefully we'll be able to get back rocking and rolling with those before too long. What else? I feel like there was something I was going to bring up, but I can't remember offhand. I had one of my polishers, because one of the stages that before hand polishing, I do a vibration polish. I had one of those seize up. It's only about 3 or 4 months old, but Louisiana humidity seized that up, and so I had to get another one of those. It's just little basic stuff. It's been busy. I'm a little bit behind due to running myself out of trigger shoes. I should be back online with trigger shoes for the newest orders, with, I would say, middle of next week, maybe the end of next week. It's a good thing, a good problem to have. But Gunco has definitely stepped up to the plate. That is one issue that I've had in the past with supply, but Gunco has not only stepped up to the plate with supply. I should have let them know a little bit earlier. I thought things were going to last a little bit longer than they did, but I'm only a couple days out. But they, between their quality and just the ability to keep up with Tactical Pontoon, they are massive in my book. Speaking of them, also, their mag extensions, they are on the website. The Glock 19, Glock 17. I did get a question on whether or not they will work with a dagger with the GG magwell. I wasn't sure, so I have one of those magwells coming for one of my dagger test frames, and I'm gonna verify, but they should. We'll know for sure. We will know for sure. Those mag extensions are really nice. And I should have grabbed one, and there's pictures. There's pictures online. There's pictures on my Instagram, and they have a titanium base plate, which is really, really kind of cool. Is it over the top? Do you need a titanium base plate? No, probably not. But it's got a titanium base plate. There's no screws. The one thing that I will say, and most of you guys probably don't use them anyways, but I had an extra ETS magazine, which is the clear ETS, Instagram magazine, if you will. You could use one with that mag extension, but you will have to alter the little plate at the bottom of the magazine where that sits on the bottom of the spring, that's got the little dimple in it, or not dimple, but stud that fits in the bottom of your base plate. You will have to modify that to fit in the Gunco mag extension. Now, if you have a factory magazine, which is probably what you should be using, no problem whatsoever. I happen to have an extra one of those from a factory magazine. So it all went together really relatively simple. The first one I put together, I was thinking backwards. I was thinking about a Terran Tactical, and so I made it harder than it was. The second one went together extremely easy. Very simple to put them together. Maybe I'll do a video on one of those. Yeah. So those are available. Prices are nice, right around $50. For a mag extension with, it's aluminum. It's got a titanium base plate. I might eventually do some with Tactical Pontoon engravings, but maybe later on. I'm guessing, Dave, you're talking about the Strike EMP. Okay, yeah. Yeah, I've got a couple of those from times past. It does. I haven't played with any of the KCI mags, but yeah, it fits Glock and ETS mags. I did use some of those in the past. Those are cheap. They're polymer. They're not bad. Again, like I said, it depends on what you want. If especially if you're going to go have a build sent out for Cerakote work, or maybe more of a rough surface service type weapon, I would want the aluminum over the polymer when it came to that. That's just me. So those are on the website. There was something else. Obviously, we've got the brass back plates. Those are on the website. Again, website has changed up a little bit. Still have a few things to do to it. Did a video this last week. Pins. Yes, Dave, the pins are on the website. I do have pins. I'm trying to add stuff that I would use in my own builds that I trust on the website. I'm not going to throw a bunch of crap up there that I personally wouldn't use. So that's also part of it. If I'm going to do something on the website and add something to the website, it would be something that I personally would use. So that's just part of it. Did a video this week, finally. It's been a while since I did a video on pins and triggers and the hole that goes through the trigger, and why certain triggers are not the greatest. Especially the Overwatch Polydat, we looked at how loose that thing is on a trigger pin and why that can cause possible trigger pin walking. I was actually talking to Stuart, Nordic Nevadan, who I had built one of the Vader systems back when I was using those triggers, and they weren't so loose. They used to not be as loose, and it was like a thing that happened where they either the mold wore out or they just expanded that hole for whatever reason. And I'm probably going to end up changing that out for them just because of how loose those Polydat triggers are. I see them quite a bit. I see them recommended, and at one time I recommended them as well. But as the quality became worse and just how loose they are, it's not one that I recommend anymore. And it's unfortunate because with a little bit of time in that design, if they would just tighten that mold up, I would recommend it again. But I can't at this point. It just fits too loose on the trigger pin. So that video is out there. If you haven't watched it yet, give it a watch. It's good information, especially if you have any trigger pin walking issues, pin through the frame. That might be a reason why. Oh, good. You got your brass back plate. I'm glad you like it. I am glad you like it. Yeah. And like I said, when it comes to how loose that thing fits on the trigger pin, whether it's the way you shoot, the way you torque that trigger, or if I know it's really bad on things like a dagger, a Nomad, anything that doesn't have a third pin up top, like a Generation 3 Glock. And the reason why I say that, and it'll even do it with those, but when you have that third pin up top, you're actually getting more spring pressure on your slide lock lever. And that slide lock lever is what keeps that trigger pin held in place. If you don't have as much spring pressure and you're torquing that trigger shoe because it fits really loose on that pin, more than likely you're going to get pin walk issues. It's just the way it is. And then the other thing is, hey, Marconi Armory, good to have you here. We'll get with you on another slide here soon. The Strike Industries anti-walk pins, I like those. And when I did that video just the other day, I had a set of those. I had and I should have included this with the video, but I didn't. I measured the depth of the cuts, if you will, or the where your slide lock lever sits, and it's deeper and it's wider. The PSA dagger has a deeper and wider. It's actually a little bit wider, and the depth is the same. So your diameter is the same on the Strike Industries and the Dagger in comparison to a factory Generation 3 pin. So that's how they work, is just they're anti-lock because they have a deeper groove. That's the word I was looking for. Groove for your slide lock lever to sit in. Ooh, yeah, Vickers. You know, and I like a lot of the Larry Vickers stuff. One of the first Glocks that I wanted was a Vickers 17. I ended up building what I called an enhanced Vickers 31. I've since taken it apart. I still have the slide, but anyways, it was Vickers sights, Vickers mag release. This was before the Vickers trigger. I loved all of that stuff. And then when they dropped that trigger, I'm like, man, you guys really dropped the ball. Larry, why would you have your name put on this? But hey, he probably gets a nice royalty check from them. As cheap as they are, they sell a lot of them, so I'm sure he's happy. More power to him. It's not something I'd want my name on. Strike Industry are marketed as a locking block. Okay. The other part about the Strike Industries pins is the third pin, at least on a Generation 3, has a groove as well up top where that spring sits, and that the spring for your locking lever. Sorry, I'm talking in circles. It has a groove as well to just keep that spring in place. It's 3 pins. It also comes with a red pin for your trigger block housing. I believe it's the same. Diameter wise, they're all the same diameter as a standard pin. It's just those grooves to help keep things situated, keep things locked in place, because that's really what it's not like an AR-15 anti-lock pin where it's got the screws and your levers on the outside to hold everything in place. They deepen those grooves because that's really what holds things in place is that spring. So it's 3 pins, or if it's Generation 5, it's 1 pin or 2 pins. I have found them to work, and they've done really well. Leonidas Magwell on your SCT-19. Are those coming to the site? Maybe eventually. I know if you look at one of my videos and the reason why I haven't directly gone out and said this is what you need for your SCT-19 is they don't 100% fit on the SCT frame. There are gaps. For my builds, they work okay, but there is a gap in between, and for some people aesthetically that's just a no-go. That's why I haven't listed them. And it's a standard Glock 19 magwell, the Leonidas magwell that fits on that SCT-19, but there are some gaps. They're not 100% perfect. There is a company, and off the top of my head, I cannot remember who they are, that does an SCT frame magwell that does fit better than, if you go to Angry Sarge, I don't know if he's in here. I haven't seen him pop up yet, but Angry Sarge on his channel, about 2 months ago or so, he did an SCT build with that magwell. I never ordered one in. I just went ahead and reused Leonidas magwells because they worked good enough for me, but they're not a perfect fit. What I will do is I may add them to the website and just get dedicated pictures that show where they do not completely match up, because the last thing I want is somebody to buy it, get it to their house, and notice that it doesn't fit 100%, and then they're upset with me, and I don't want that. So that's the reason why I haven't added those to the website as SCT fitting, because they're not 100%. For some people, that's fine. For some people, it's a no-go. And I get a lot of questions on my SCT videos about what magwell I'm using, and I normally just I don't go there because I don't want people to get upset with me when it doesn't fit 100%. Okay. The other thing, the next video that I plan on putting out is on, I wanted to do a video on, where was it at? I just had it here. I forget. I got several different videos planned. I just gotta film them. Take the time to film them. So I'll get to that. Maybe it'll be an SCT Magwell video, but it more than likely there'll be another trigger video. I don't know why I can't think of it off the top of my head. Blame it on the heat. Brought to you by Bang Root Beer Blaze. These are relatively rare to find. They're not great. I just developed a taste for them. And every once in a while I'll find them. I thought they had actually gotten rid of them, but there's one gas station in town that does have them. And when they do, I grab like 3 of them. They're pretty nasty. Yeah, they are. They're not good. They have a little bit of a root beer taste. Like up front, there's a root beer taste. And then for some reason, the aftertaste has kind of a lemon flavor, which is really weird for root beer. But I like weird things. So that's just me. I have been working on my little project car after waiting for, what is this now going on, like 8 months for the machinist. I ordered another head for my car from somebody else since the machinist was taking forever. I finally got a chance to work on that. Head came in. It's really nice. It's very clean. I've gotten the engine almost assembled. And today I thought I had the engine timed. And I checked it again. And the reason why I checked it again was I noticed that I had some cam seals. My cam seals were a little bit crooked. I pulled my cam gears off. These were a set of cams that I bought 3 years ago at this point, and I'd never, I don't think I'd ever taken the cam gears off. These were used aftermarket crane cams that are discontinued. They no longer make them. Well, I found out that there's little dowel pins that fit in the end of those cams that are gone. Those pins they're gone, and somebody had replaced them with a couple screws, like just some. They had cut a couple like drywall screws and shoved them in there. And so my cam gears were actually, they had a little bit of, when you torqued everything, there's a little bit of play in them. So while I thought I had it timed, once I took things apart, I noticed the screws and I'm like, oh, great. So I've got a bit of a setback. The holes for those dowel pins look a little bit boogered up. I've got some dowel pins ordered. Going to do a little bit of machining and hopefully I can get them to fit in right and get the cam gears locked in place so that I can time the engine. If not, I'm not going to mess too much with it. I'm just going to order some BC cams, which are still available. I was hoping to use the old cranes. It's just they're discontinued. It was a thing we used to use. Crane cams were the way to go back in the day when we ran these cars. I kind of wanted to stay with that, but if anything, if I run into issues, I'm just not going to play with it. I'm going to order a set of Brian Crower camshafts and just rock on. Yeah, Dave, I'm a car guy. I am a car guy. I have a separate video or a separate channel for car videos, but I spend so much time doing the trigger stuff that there's really not a way for me to dedicate time for car videos. There's barely time for trigger videos at this point. So yeah, that's something else I'm doing is hopefully I've literally in 2020, when when everybody was stealing all of the toilet paper, I pulled my little project car out of my lean-to shed. It had been sitting back there for about 3 years at that point. I pulled it out of the shed and I was like, you know what? While everything's shut down, I'm going to put this car back together and drive it. I drove it a total of 3 times. It needed a few little things. It needed a few things, but I got it driving. I enjoyed driving it. And then I had a braided fuel line bust, and I went down the rabbit hole. By the time I caught myself, I was rebuilding the engine. And that was, I started rebuilding the engine at the beginning of 2021. I rebuilt the engine. I sent a head out to get ported. And that was supposed to only take about 6 or 7 weeks. And here we are in 2023, midway through 2023, and I'm just now getting it back together. So yeah. Yeah, I can understand why you hate the neon. A lot of people do. I love it. I had 12 of them, I think it was, for better or worse. I love the little things. Well, yeah. It's also got adjustable cam gears, and there's enough play with those little dowel screws at this point that it was messing things up. I've got a couple different things going on. I've got a manual tensioner for the timing belt to play with. Some of it's new, a new field for me. It's a little bit higher performance than I've built myself in the past, so I'm just trying to get it to be correct, hopefully. Yes. I have seen the new Trigicon stuff. I'm gonna wait it out, kind of see what people think. I never got on the whole red dot train too much. Got in with Swamp Fox. I've got a Hollison on one that I really like. We'll see. There are a lot better people to look at those red dots than myself. So I'm probably gonna stay out of that until people are going to be hitting them with hammers, running them over with trucks. Those will be the fun videos to watch. Those will be a lot of fun to watch. I don't have the kids, Stuart. That is one. Cars, guns, cameras. You want to talk expensive? Cameras is another one that's expensive, and that is something I got into as well. As photography for the website and just in general. That's an expensive one too. Cars, no kids. Dogs are relatively cheap until they hurt themselves, and then that jumps up. Guns, yeah. And that I like what you said there, Steven. That would be nice if the old school Trigicons went on clearance. I might at that point buy one. They've kind of been a little bit more expensive than I wanted to spend for a red dot. And I mean, I'm gonna, the reality is, at least for myself, I may be Tactical Pontoon, but I'm not that tactical. I don't see myself beating them up too much, but it would be good to have a good solid red dot. So we'll see. Hopefully one goes on clearance. That would be great. Then I might buy one. I spend a lot of stupid money on things. And then of course, running the business, screwing up parts here, there, trying to stay ahead of parts, broken tools, new tools for the shop. There's a lot of stuff. Anyways, I think I'm going to call it a day. It's been fun. And we'll do it again next week. Hopefully I'll have time this week to do a video. I'll have to look at my list of things. If you haven't already, go check the website out. The new version of the website. If you've already signed up to the newsletter, you don't have to sign up. It's not a new one at this point. This is just kind of it's a pop-up just so newer people will get a chance. So you don't have to sign up to the website, but just check it out. I've worked my butt off a little bit on updating it. Still stuff to do, but fire up the grill, Stuart. I wish I was over there, but I'm just going to be doing chicken and rice again tonight. So anyways, I'll catch you guys later. As always, if you have any questions, feel free. You can leave a comment down below. You can hit me up on email, tacticalpontoon@gmail.com. Instagram, their message system has gotten really weird here lately. I'll show up and all of a sudden 5 messages that I didn't even see will pop up. But tactical_pontoon, that is Instagram. And then, of course, the website, TacticalPontoon.com. So I will catch you guys later. And hopefully next week the stickers will be in. I'll be able to give some away. All right. I'll keep you guys in my thoughts when it comes to the heat. All right. I'll catch you guys later.